This was a season that had so much promise, and it all fell apart.
Disaster.
Toxic.
Tragedy.
Armageddon.
No regrets. It happens. People want to have some hope of what may happen in the future, but it's hard for me to say.
How do you know?
Durant has had enough.
When it's time to go.
Requested a trade.
Run this course, you fell for the force, you hop in the Porsche and get on the road.
I can't worry about what people say. I just focus on me.
I'm built different, man, I feel different, even chill different when I whoop. We laugh when I breeze past and I might blast on the future. When they find out that you lie, you're out of time.
It's been just over a week since Kevin Durant requested a trade, according to our Adrian Wojnarowski from the Brooklyn Nets. And now we welcome the man to set, Woj, and our senior front office insider, Bobby Marks. Thank you so much for hanging with us here on NBA Today. So, Woj, I'll start with you. Just what's the latest on Kevin Durant?
Well, Brooklyn Nets GM Sean Marks, has arrived in Vegas for Summer League, and so have essentially all the other executives in the league, and it gives teams a chance to talk in person. I think have a different kind of conversation than you can have on the phone. I think especially when you're trying to put together something more complicated, 3 or 4 team deals. But as you said in the open, Malika, it's just been over a week since Kevin Durant asked for the trade. And trades of this magnitude for players like Kevin Durant, typically they don't come together quickly, especially he asked for the trade after the draft. Sometimes the draft can be a deadline or the trade deadline. That's not the case. We're kind of in the open field of the offseason. And there's no sense among, I think, with the Nets or with teams talking to the Nets that they have tremendous urgency or they're trying to move this along quickly to find a resolution, get a deal. They want to get a deal. They want to get the best deal they can. But, these things they take on a life of their own. And I think you'll see some more of those face-to-face conversations here in the coming week and 10 days. But that doesn't guarantee there's going to be a KD trade in Summer League. This may move on. And remember, the Nets have Kevin Durant under contract for 4 years. And that is a pretty good reason not to rush into anything. Maybe slow play this over time and look and see if you don't have the kind of blockbuster deal you want. You don't just make the trade.
Bobby, how are you evaluating all of this?
Well, I'm looking at it. We're in the offseason, and there's no, the emotional element of it all. No team has lost 4 games in a row. Phoenix has, right? We're still in the honeymoon period. So it's a lot harder to make a blockbuster deal of this nature because everybody likes their roster right now.
Right.
Now, that changes when we get to November and December, and a team like the Suns or even the Raptors, who are one of the favorites here, has gone on a 6-game losing streak, and they see Kevin Durant as that missing piece. And then all of a sudden, the asking price is a lot more in December than it is in mid-July.
So just a little bit of a scene set here, Woj, for fans who are watching at home. We've talked about Summer League as the first time these general managers can get into the room face-to-face. What do you expect the mindset to be for general managers as they head here with this sort of looming?
Well, first thing, it's kind of held up the rest of free agency. There's not a lot of high-level players left, but the DeAndre Ayton situation still lingers out there. But I think a lot of other teams, agents who are trying to get deals done feel like there's a sense of waiting on the Kevin Durant situation, and they may be waiting a while. I think especially when you start, like Bobby said, when you're in the off season and you're not facing the urgency of pressure from your owner because the team's struggling, the chance to get at Kevin Durant, it's not like teams are upping their offers all the time. Teams are going to try not to make deals against their own last deal.
Yeah.
And so I think right now, I wouldn't be surprised if this situation plays out even through Summer League. But I think if you're the Nets, you can get a sense really of how far perhaps some teams are going to go. And if you feel like they've gone as far as they're going to go with you, is that good enough for Kevin Durant? Because in almost any scenario, you're probably not getting value for Kevin Durant. There's no deal you look at and say, hey, we're better for this. It's just the best you can get. And again, with the 4 years left on his contract, you can wait it out.
Okay, my question is,
for a guy like Kevin Durant in the Nets, if it is still an amicable situation, for him to start the season, do you not think that might also, when you said everybody's in the honeymoon phase, well, what about if the Nets start the season and they're not playing well, or Kevin Durant? Now all of a sudden, wouldn't that possibly decrease his value, because it's like, hey, they're going through some things. We're gonna sit pat, and we're gonna not really like get the most aggressive offer. Is there a little bit of tension that we don't want to start the season with Kevin Durant there because of the potential stress it could cause on the franchise?
No, I see it, RJ, but I also think Kevin Durant, you know him, he is going to come to play every night. He's going to play at a high level. He cares too much about it. And so I don't know that his value decreases. If he's on the floor, he wants to dominate. I would be surprised that Kevin Durant would approach it any other way. And so I think people out there, they know what they're getting with Kevin Durant. The question is, how much are they willing to give up? And how could Brooklyn walk away with this and be able to say, we can justify moving a player, an all-time great player, essentially in his prime at 34 years old, and have something to show for it that we can live with.
Bobby, how aggressively do we expect teams to pursue Kevin Durant when we're talking about, as Woj said, just a lot of time before the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it. I'm looking back from the Carmelo Anthony situation in 2010, where that basically started in September and ended in February. That took 6 months to basically get it done, and it cost New York gutting their roster. I think that's the concern as far as gutting your roster for Kevin Durant.
I remember being here 3 years ago with the Spurs and Raptors, R.C. Buford, Masai Ujiri. Kawhi Leonard was going into the last year of his deal. It was very different. But Masai Ujiri did a job of sort of waiting out the rest of the market on Kawhi Leonard. That was the best offer they had in San Antonio. They finally had a move on it. The Nets aren't in the same situation. This isn't a player who's headed in on an expiring contract, and who the Spurs felt may not even show up to training camp if we start the season.
Well, and that's why we've used the word unprecedented so many times. We haven't seen a player of this magnitude with this much time left on his contract request to trade. Woj, Bobby Marks, thank you so much for spending a little time with us here on NBA Today. Still to come, though, we do have some news surrounding Brittany Griner. We're going to check in with our Monica McNutt because her absence is looming over this weekend's WNBA All-Star Game. A look at what the community is doing to try to get her back to the United States. Of Summer League. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews alongside Matt Barnes and Richard Jefferson. And we got to see the first night of action last night. Well, Matt and I were there. Where were you?
I was getting my rest.
Oh, okay.
I was getting my rest.
He's getting his rest.
I had a big day. I had morning referee class. We'll talk more about that later.
We'll get into that later. Referee class. All right. Well, Matt and I had a front row seat to Paolo Banchero versus Jabari Smith Jr. So let's take a look at what went down last night, because Paolo Banchero, he was impressive in his debut. And this is when I say, okay, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. I got excited when I saw them matching up against each other just right from the get-go, Matt. And you can see Paolo showing off his range already.
Very aggressive out the gate. Started the game off 2 for 2 from the three-point line, but I just like his aggressiveness.
Yeah, and look, you don't want to get too excited, but you can, because we're probably not going to talk too much about these teams during the regular season, so this is the time to have their shine.
Well, Jamal Mosley,
thanks, Rich.
He was there last night. He brought the team to watch Paolo do his thing.
As he should.
The crowd, when I walked in here last night and I saw how many people were in here to see, look at that. Look at how many folks are in here to see Paolo play, and they were not disappointed on both ends of the floor. Watch this.
Oh,
with authority.
And look, this is the part, like, some players are more ready-made. Some players, you look at their upside and their development. I would put Jabari Smith in that book. I would put, even Chet Holmgren, what they will become. Because right now, Pablo is a ready-made player.
Hello, yep.
Yeah, he's got to improve his skill, but he's a ready-made player.
Yeah,
well, and then you have Jabari. He didn't maybe have the splashiest debut, but he showed some flashes, Richard.
But, yeah, he definitely showed some flashes. What do you got, Matt?
No, I was just going to say, and we talked about this before, that his teammates didn't really look for him. So I know you're probably going to go into, he needs to find a better way to demand the ball, get the ball in his spots, and then just be aggressive. Although he only took 2 less shots than Paolo, it just looked like Paolo was a lot more aggressive offensively, as you see here, getting to his spots and just doing what he does.
Well, you also had R.J. Hampton out there. So again, a couple more people that they had synergy to build. Let's take a listen to Paolo Banchero after the game.
It's pressure, but it's like, I don't know. I got it tattooed on me, no pressure, literally. So I just always, I've always dealt with pressure well,
and been able to handle it. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just basketball. Like, it can be all the pressure, all the noise in the world, but at the end of the day, you got to go out there and hoop against 5 other guys. So it's like, what really is it if it's just basketball, So.
The Mavericks, they've turned up the music and they're getting in some practice time behind us. But what impressed you most, Matt? I'm going to start with you because you were actually in the building about Paolo's debut.
Just aggressiveness on both ends of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to the basket. He shot threes freely, openly. He didn't care if he missed. He was just out there playing basketball. And then defensively, he made good recoveries, a few blocks. And then the one thing I like to see him be is more aggressive on the rebounds. I felt he just got rebounds that kind of came to him instead of going out there and getting him. But overall, just really impressive first night.
When I look at 2 young players, I look at, hey, how do they handle from game to game? Like, we saw Chet Holmgren come out and have a great game 1. Game 2, there was a little bit more physicality going against Kenny Lofton. So my takeaway from these games is that let's see what they do game 2, because you know what happens after game 1? You have video, you have scouting, like the scouting starts to start. Yeah. That's when it starts to get more fun. It's like, hey, this is what he does. This is his right hand. He likes to spin back on his left. So I love to see how young players adjust from game 1 to game 2. So I want to see what Jabari does in game 2, and I want to see what Paolo does.
And I don't think, I mean, we all know it's just summer league, and we know that. But to me, as a former player, you look at certain moves and aggressiveness and just the way they play within. And we're not necessarily looking at what kind of numbers and rebounds they particularly put up, because we all know a lot of these guys won't be in the league this upcoming season. So you just look at small things that they do that just like, okay, that's a pro mover. I like that aggressiveness, or I like the way he went up and got that rebound.
So on the flip side then, what more do you want to see from Jabari Smith, Matt?
Aggressiveness. Yeah. Just the exact same that I saw from Paolo. I just want to see that from Jabari, although his team was really gunning and not really looking for him. Christopher had a good game. These guys are obviously out there playing for their careers, right? So just him kind of demanding, I'm the 3rd pick. I need at least 15 to 20 shots from him.
That's what I say. Take 10 bad ones, right? Take 10 bad ones, because it's more of like, hey, this is my range. This is what I can do. But also, Houston has to do a better job, in my opinion. I know it's just summer league, but if you're there to feature your star, right? And you saw Orlando had R.J. Hampton. I didn't see Green out there. So you got to figure out a way to feature these guys and say, hey, this might not be our offense in the regular season, but best believe this is going to be our offense in summer league. Nobody shoots the ball till he touches it. I don't want to see everybody else with 15 shots. That's not what I want to see.
All right, well, they weren't the only top picks that were in action last night. Let's check in on Mr. Shaedon Sharpe and Jalen Duren, as well as Jaden Ivey. You can see there some of the top picks that were in action, Banchero versus Smith Jr. But then in the next game, we got to take a look at Shaedon Sharpe. And just a reminder for our NBA viewers out there, Shaedon Sharpe had not played in an organized basketball game in months, right, after going to Kentucky. But he left the game with a shoulder injury. He didn't return after playing just a handful of minutes. On the flip side, though, Detroit, they got it going high-flying early, Richard.
Yeah, no, Detroit, they have a young nucleus. They have a young crew of guys. And, look, they should be really, really excited about the future of Detroit basketball. But it's tough. I hate to see a young guy not be able to get in there after just a few minutes, and so maybe they're being cautious, but Ivy was special out there.
He did not disappoint. I mean, in a well-rounded game, he scored the ball, he rebounded the ball, he got an assist, he got out in open court, flying around for alley-oops. I'm really excited to see, everyone's saying he's a John Morant-ish, and if he's anything like that, John Morant's one of the most special players we have in this game, so he definitely did not disappoint last night.
Well, some folks, they compare him to John Morant because his mother actually coached John Morant. She was assistant coach with the Memphis Grizzlies. She's now the women's head coach at Notre Dame.
Slicing it.
And she's been coaching him to do that. I mean, he was impressive. He was special, Rich.
Yeah, no, he was. But again, this is where you want to see the league. Like, this is where a young player can get this out here. Oh, okay.
Get it off. I love it. Summer league, now's the time to do it.
Do it all. Have all the fun that you want. Start to understand the speed, the physicality, the way the referees call it. A lot of this is about spacing. Spacing is different than what it is in college, and you start to realize, wait, I can go full speed downhill. I can go do this because the spacing is different. For example, I average 11 points a game in college. I averaged 10 points a game my rookie year because the game is different. It's spaced differently. It's open differently.
Well, but now we're a couple weeks removed from the draft. Detroit, they were getting a lot of praise for how they drafted coming out of the draft. What do you think now that you've seen them in action in summer league?
I just like, I mean, not only their summer league team, but their young star, his confidence. And like Richard said, they have a young core and they're building and they're adding pieces here and there. So obviously you're not going to see immediate results for this team, but in the next 2 or 3 years, this is going to be a really fun team that plays hard and might put themselves on the map.
They have a little bit more, it feels like. I was talking to Dwayne Casey about this yesterday. They're starting to have an identity. Even if it's a fledgling identity, even if it's a building team identity, they are no longer in a wasteland.
Yeah.
They're exactly playing hard.
Yep.
Well, and I know people make it seem like playing hard should be a given, but there is a skill when you're playing hard in the game. And the last thing I'll say, that transition from Drummond and Blake Griffin, it takes a couple of years. It takes a couple of years for those picks to add up. It takes a couple of years to get players in that you feel like can contribute. So I like what they're doing. I think they have a great coach. And look, when Detroit gets rolling, the city.
Detroit.
Don't do that. I still have PTSD.
Then I'll do it louder. Detroit.
And also, real quick, too, I like what they did. They added a lot of younger, still retired, but younger guys. Rashard Lewis, Jason Maxiell, Keith Bogans, to have this guy around these young cores, because I feel like there's so much of a disconnect sometimes with older coaches and older coaching staffs and with this young crop of players. So I like that they kind of bridge the gap with these younger assistant coaches.
Well, can I tell you one other thing that I liked? I liked seeing Isaiah Stewart out there because I was reminded that he's only like 20 years old, but also the fact that for young teams, I think it's important for these young teams who are trying to build an identity for those second-year guys who are able to be able to come back to kind of start to build that cohesion at Summer League. Richard's going to tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'm going to tell you you're 100% right. And then when I went on that rant, about should we shorten the season? This is why a lot of these teams coddle these players. And when I say coddle the players, for example, I played the national championship game, last possible game you could. You know what I followed up? I went to the NBA Finals after doing Summer League. So I went Finals, Summer League, and then we went to the Finals, and I went to Summer League again because my team was like, Richard, we know you just guarded Kobe in the Finals, but we want to see you and Jason Collins and Brian Scalabrine. Richard, we want to see you handle the ball more. Richard, we want to see you be more of a playmaker. We want to see this. Summer League is you. Just because you were a top pick and you were all rookie team doesn't mean you don't need to be out here working again. That's where the teams, I understand injuries, I understand this, but I would say about 70%, 75% of the first round picks should be out here again after your rookie year. And that's something that the league has gotten away from. Not a big fan of, because I've seen guys go from NBA Finals back on this court because you get to work on something else, improve on your game.
Yeah, well, and even Cade Cunningham, he didn't play.
That was a good one. That's real.
On the roster, and I would have liked to see a couple more.
I would like to see Jalen Green. He was sitting.
Why are you sitting courtside like with the diamonds on?
And we're not knocking these guys.
We're not knocking the guys.
To me, the organization should be telling them they need to play. Go out there and work on your game.
Particularly if your identity is being young, which the Orlando Magic, the Houston
all
Rockets,
the time
all those
you
guys
need
are.
together.
How many games has Green played? Like, I love to see Josh Giddey. Maybe not have him do every single game, but the first 5 or 6 games, your teammate, who's another top pick, is out here on the floor.
Right.
Great that you're here supporting him, but get your butt on the court. What on earth, in my mind, and I'm not picking on Jalen Green, I'm not saying he's hit, but let's use him as an example.
Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs. Like, if you're not injured, why are you not playing in Summer League? You have not accomplished anything. Your team has not accomplished anything. And you can be building chemistry with the future guys that you're playing with, the other top picks, talking to them, showing them the things that you've learned. That's where you see franchises just blow my minds with some of the mistakes that they do because they're coddling young players, not pushing them out there, making them work.
You mentioned Josh Giddey. We get to compliment him in person because he will be joining our show in just a little bit. Coming up, though, on NBA Today,
the best floor generals this game has ever seen.
Our defense is going to be at a high level tonight. Do you understand? We're not losing.
No, come on. Channel 5. Stay.
You can do it, right? And we're going to do it tonight.
Outstanding sideline coaching there by Jason Kidd.
Channel 5, baseline. Tap. Let's go. Let's have some fun.
Welcome back to NBA Today. And now Matt Barnes, Richard Jefferson, and I are joined by somebody very special, the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, Jason Kidd. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on NBA Today.
Thank you
and sitting next to Richard.
I was forced to.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Well,
thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so excited that you're here. Let's just jump right in with Luka Doncic, because as long as we're talking about the Mavs, the two seem synonymous. He made it to the Western Conference Finals farther than he ever has in his career this season. When you were hired as head coach, what was your biggest goal for him?
To be the best player he can be. And I thought he did that. A lot of times we think a player should come out of the chute and be the top player in the league. Luka started slow, but it's not about the race is not about the 50 yards. It's about the 100 yards. And I thought he finished the season at a very high note, and he was great. He's one of the best players in the world. He's unselfish, and he's not afraid of the stage.
Yeah.
As you can see, playing for his national team, he's going to take on the world, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to say I coach him, but more of watch him.
Yeah. Well, playing in Europe this summer, I mean, conditioning going into last season, it was a question for Luka. He looks great right now. What did you notice?
He does look great. He's taking care of his body.
Look how
He's like, yeah, we're going to be good.
On the hook?
Hook him.
The hook, he has them all. And so just what I love to see is when he's smiling, I know he's in a good place, not just physically, but mentally, and he's having fun. He loves to play the game of basketball, but I think he's added the hook shot. But again, everybody's talking about his muscles, so I'm excited.
Put some muscle in
the one thing is, like, every team wants to build on last year, but also players want to build on last year. So what's something that you want your team to build on, but also Luka, because he did make big steps.
Yep.
Getting off the ball more, obviously you guys had Brunson doing more of that. So now that he's off the ball, what's something that you're going to like, hey, this is something that I want to add for you to build on moving forward?
Well, the biggest thing is no stress. If you ask him or anybody in that locker room, we talk about no stress. And so that means playing without the ball. When you talk about he's going to have the ball the last 6 minutes or the last 3 minutes, but I want to be able to use him behind the defense. And I thought he accepted that role for us with Brunson or Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
And so when we have those type of playmakers on the floor, sometimes you can rest in those minutes. But again, he's 23 years old and he believes he can take on the world. And so our job is to help him understand that he can play behind the defense and have success that way too.
You guys added Christian Wood, JaVale McGee, but you lost Jalen Brunson. What's the plan to replace him?
Well, we can't replace Brunson. He's a great player. I'm happy for him and his family signing a deal in New York. It's well deserved. We wanted him back, but he picked New York. But when you talk about Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway coming back, everybody's asked this question, and we believe the points will be there, and we believe we're going to be a bigger team. Nothing against JB's height, but with Spencer starting, our starting five is going to be big with JaVale starting at the center, and then we believe we're going to have a lot more offense coming off the bench.
I think your ability to motivate but also challenge not only your team but your superstars, sometimes that backfires. And you publicly challenged Luka, and instead of kind of hanging his head and pouting, he took it as a challenge and got better. I wanted to commend you on that, but obviously I think you've always been a leader. Now you're just a head coach, but that's a tricky slope that a lot of coaches can't get away with, like publicly, not necessarily criticizing, but kind of challenging guys. How were you able to do it?
Yeah, I think trust and communication.
Yep.
From day one, going over to see him, telling him I'm here to help.
Right.
I played the game, have had my run, and now it's your turn. And so my job is to make the game easy. But I thought challenging sometimes is coaching, but it's not saying something's wrong. And he accepted the challenge, and that's what he's all about. He accepts all the challenges of trying to beat the league by himself. Yeah. And so it wasn't a public challenge. It was something that I thought could help the team.
Right.
And he took it and he ran with it.
Right.
Speaking of challenges, Richard Jefferson is a challenge. Just as a human being,
he knows.
To deal with every. I'm wondering what your best story of Richard Jefferson from your days was. That's fit for TV.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's fit for TV.
That's fit for TV.
Well, I used to argue on the film when Byron Scott would have the film, and Jason would be sitting behind me, and whenever I would start to open my mouth, which was all the time, he would just hit me in the back of my head. Like, stop
that's why
arguing.
It's shaped that way?
Yeah, that's why it's shaped.
No, he was born that way. But no, RJ wanted to make film session longer. by bringing out points of like things that we didn't need to really talk about. We wanted to get out of film.
Sounds like me trying to get to break.
Yeah.
Yes, but he loves to talk, and so I think he's in a great seat. Unfortunately, you guys sit with him all the time.
So I can't come coach with you?
No.
Okay. One thing that I want to ask you. We had Josh Giddey up here, and I've been going on this rant all day. This is my theory. When you see young players that have been accomplished but still show up the next year after their rookie, what did you say? What did you say to me?
The first thing is he loves basketball, but we need more of it.
You need more guys that love to play.
Yeah, this isn't time to rest.
No, there's not time to just be in the gym working on your ball handling for 4 months. Come out here and work on some of it.
Yeah, against humans, right? The other players, and you can also not just, get better, but you can learn from the person you're guarding, or someone shows you something while you're resting during the game. I'm going to try to borrow that move.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Jason Kidd, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on NBA Today, and we're sorry that we put you next to Richard.
That's okay.
Next time, I hope it will be the case.
I'm used to it.
Still to come, though, on NBA Today are Adrian Wojnarowski and Bobby Marks. They are going to join us live on set for an update on the trade market. Don't go anywhere. That's coming up next.
Is KD going to Dallas? That technical for you next time.
Yeah.
Make sure that you take him up on. Oh, you said next time.
Next time.
You're not offering to retroactively pay this one. Okay, that set social media on fire. First of all, how does it just feel to be on the floor, especially together with Chet Holmgren?
It's great. I mean, all through the pre-draft process, and that was the guy I secretly wanted to play with, and I knew he was a special talent. He can stretch the floor, finishes well at the ring, protects the ring like I've never seen before from a guy his age, and he has my back on that end. So to play with someone like him is really special, and we've only played 2 games together, so that chemistry is only going to continue to get better.
How has your game, do you think, improved since your rookie season?
I think the main thing is I've gotten a lot stronger, quicker, stronger. I think that were the 2 things I wanted to improve on a lot. Shooting the ball is still something I've got to get better at, and I'm working on that every day. So, but I think the weight room was a big part of my offseason, and I think that's definitely one of the areas I've improved in.
Rich?
Well, for me, I just went on a 5-minute rant about how my rookie year I played in the NBA Finals and then showed up the Summer League again. You were all rookie team. You were the 6th pick in the draft, and here you are again in Summer League working on your game. Do you notice that there's other first-round picks that are not out there playing?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think anytime I get the chance to hoop, I want to be out there playing, whether
it's
Utah, Vegas, whatever it is. I want to be out there playing. So, if I get the chance and they want me to compete, then I'm going to be out there.
Fresh off your rant, this just couldn't have happened.
It couldn't have happened any better.
And then we just saw a text from a coach that was praising you too, so I love it. I don't really have a question. I'm a fan of your game and your versatility. I think you're the new wave of basketball, 6'6" to 6'9", guys that can do everything. You notched a few triple doubles. You're someone that can get your own shot. You can shoot the ball well, but you also are a great passer and you rebound for a guard. So keep doing what you're doing, man. You got a lot of fans out there. And best of luck.
I am curious though, because Richard's rant, it was sort of centered on this idea of when you are a young team that is still building and gelling and finding your identity, being together, being with the players that you are going to play with in the NBA. How valuable have you found this time to gel?
Very. I think, especially with the younger guys, especially as a second-year player coming back, helping these rookies and younger guys learn the offense, fit into the system, feel comfortable in what we're doing here. And I think, I'm still probably the youngest guy on our team, but still helping these guys come through and just learn the stuff. And I remember how daunting it is as a rookie to come in and all the pressure you have as a high pick. So just being there for these guys and helping them fit in.
What advice, and I know you're not going to be here for the duration of Summer League, but still want to compliment you on doing the training camp, being there. What advice have you given to Chet or any rookie that you're like, hey, if I would have known this a few months earlier, if I would have known this going through the draft process or last Summer League, it would have made my transition easier?
I think never get too high, never get too low. I think a bad game, social media is telling you how bad you are. A good game, they're telling you how good you are. So I was caught up in that wave. I think my first Summer League game got hurt 2 minutes in. I didn't play again, and everyone was telling me, Giddey's a bust at 6. He's got picked too high. But then if you let that stuff get you, it doesn't affect you. But, Chet, he set the world on fire his first game. Second game, he wasn't, as good as he was. And the scales tipped. So never getting too high or too low is a big
And you
advice.
said that to him, like, hey, they love you one moment. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Is there anything that Chet has done that you have even found yourself going, oh my, or I'm surprised, or you didn't even see that coming?
I knew what he could do, but, the 3 three ball, the way he pulls up off his handle for a 7-footer is, special, and the way he can stretch the floor, the way he protects the ring, I think for his size and the stuff he does in the paint is stuff I knew he could do that, but actually playing with him and seeing it firsthand it's special.
The Thunder has an incredibly special fan base. What do you want fans to know that they can look forward to this season after being in a little bit of a rebuild here?
Yeah, I think a really competitive team. I think the group we've got, obviously everybody wants to win, and that's what we're trying to do. And all the guys I know have had a good off-season working out wherever they are, and I think when we get back together as a full group in September or whenever it is, I think we're going to hit the ground running and be a really competitive team this year.
I know social media has put out Chetmate as a nickname for the two of you. How do we feel about that? Is there a better one?
I mean, I don't have anything better off the top of my head, so I'll roll with it.
Yeah, right? Because it gives a little bit of the Australia Chetmate. I kind of like that. Well, one half, the more senior half of the Chetmate. Thank you so much for joining us here on NBA Today. Really appreciate it, Josh. Best of luck with the rest of Summer League and next season. And
second best TikToker in the NBA right here, ladies and gentlemen. Second best. He is outstanding. Look, we don't need to get into the details. I'm just saying he's the second best. It's impressive.
No, it's not me.
Malika, we got Malika on TikTok.
Richard got me on TikTok, but I don't talk.
We'll get you. Just baby steps.
On it. All right, we still have so much more to come, though, on NBA Today. Josh, Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Still ahead, though, Woj and Bobby Marks, they joined the set to give us the latest out of Vegas regarding KD and Kyrie. And